Hi again, everybody. Here's an interesting little game that was played in Budapest in 1942. Kluger has the white pieces and Nagy the black, and it's a Sicilian defense. And it starts out this way. E4, C5, knight F3, knight C6, D4, black takes the pawn at D4, white recaptures. Now knight F6, knight C3, black plays D6. White now brings the bishop out to G5. Black plays the pawn to A6. White brings his queen up to D2. And now black makes a curious little retreating move, which will haunt him later in the game. He plays the knight back to D7. White brings out his other bishop to E2. And black now plays the G-pawn up to G6, obviously intending to bring the bishop out to G7. And at this point, white plays a move which is actually a trap. He takes his knight on C3 and plays it to D5. And now, if black were to actually go ahead and bring the bishop out to G7, here's what would happen. White would take the knight at C6 with his own knight, and after black recaptured, white would then play bishop takes E7, and that traps the queen. Black would have to give up his queen as well as that pawn on E7 for a knight and a bishop. So obviously not a good exchange. So if we go back to the last move where white moved the knight up to D5, black must have seen this and instead played his pawn forward to F6, hitting at the bishop. Unfortunately, now he's left a big hole at E6, and immediately white puts his knight right on that square, attacking the queen. And now the queen only has one square it can move to. And the queen moves to A5, basically offering an exchange of queens with white. But white has a better idea. And if you'd like to pause the video at this point and see what that idea is, I'll wait for you. Okay, did you see it? The best move for white, believe it or not, is moving the knight from D5 to C7, check. And now black only has one move. The king has to move to F7. And now the other knight jumps to D8, also with check. And at this point, black moves the king to G7. And now the other knight jumps to E8, check, and at this point in the game, black actually resigned. And the reason he resigned is because obviously the king only has one move. He has to move back to G8. And now white would play bishop to C4, check. And now all black can do is basically delay the inevitable. And he can do it for three moves. He could first play the pawn up to D5, and then white, of course, would capture that with check. And then black would have to give up his queen by capturing the bishop. And then white would simply recapture with his own queen, check. And now all black could do would be to block one more time with E6. And then white simply takes the pawn, checkmate. A really interesting game, and it makes sense that the knight looks like a horse because they did a lot of jumping, didn't they? Oh well. I hope you enjoyed the game, and I'll see you next time.